Welcome into the Gramlich and Lain podcast presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Gramlich and Lain. Happy Pitt Notre Dame week, Mac. We all knew this would be a massive matchup
Yes.
this week when we were previewing the season. The theme of this podcast is we didn't know any of this was going to happen. And here we are, experiencing it all with you. But Mac, you had an awesome interview today with the Narduzzi, Pat Narduzzi, one of our absolute favorite coaches in the ACC, in the country. He always delivers.
He really does. It's so much fun talking with him. And, you never know what you're going to get, right? Like this guy
Right.
is just, he's a firecracker. He's one of the best. And, it was a great conversation though. It was fun to sit down with him. Cannot wait to see him in person. This weekend, the huddle will be going to Pittsburgh, as well as game day. They want to tag along with us, that little show. So I guess we're going to make some room and allow those guys to hang out with us too. But it's a big deal. And you're just kind of picking his brain about that. Like, how do you handle this situation? Because it's a lot. You're ranked. You're going to be ranked even higher when they, inevitably come out here in a couple hours. And, all these shows are coming and going to be on your campus. And, he just laid it out as it's great for the school. It's great for the community, great for the fans. Ain't going to help us tackle better. It's not going to help us throw the ball better. It has nothing to do, with the game. And I kind of like that, and leaning into a little bit of a bit here. And he even said, when the announcement was made, guys weren't like looking around, high five and cheering. It was just like, okay, cool. Like, great. So I do actually like that, that they have that mentality. And it was a great interview. So let's get to a message from our friends over at Ingles. If you guys have seen it, I've been killing the chili. We've been doing some burgers. We've been on the grill. Okay. It's cold and that Traeger's cranked up and it's got some Ingles meat on it and we're rolling. So quick message from our friends over there. And then we'll talk to the Narduzzi.
Did you know Ingles only sells USDA Choice and Prime cuts of meat? Maybe it's time to reward yourself. Our butchers cut all our meat fresh in the store every day. Grass-fed, organic, you name it. Not only that, we'll even cut it to order just the way you like it. And we grind meat fresh in the store multiple times a day. It's all in the bag. That's the best meat in town for the best folks in town. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Coach, huge game this weekend. I know you're kind of saying, "Where? Who's playing? What's going on?" But we're going to be there, the huddle. I cannot wait to see you guys in person, see this show that you guys have been putting on that has been really just fascinating and a ton of fun. I'm sure it's fun from your perspective as well. But just how you doing? How's everything going? Great to see you.
Everybody's great in Pittsburgh. Just getting ready for Notre Dame. Obviously had 2 weeks to prepare and get healthy, and I think we got a healthier team right now. I don't know if it'll be as healthy as we want it to be by next Saturday. Unfortunately, it's November. But we'll just keep plugging away. It gave us some of those young guys that have been playing a lot a chance to kind of hone in their skills a little bit, see what they've done instead of just moving on to the next week with young linebackers and safeties out there. So, we're just plugging away. But we're excited to have Notre Dame come in here, big time atmosphere. And our guys just got to lock in and focus.
Right. And there's so many things obviously around the game. The huddle's coming, game day's coming, the magnitude of the game. You got a beautiful number, beside Pittsburgh, and so does Notre Dame. What's kind of your just mindset, how you handle it with your guys? How do you make this as normal of a game as it can be?
You know what? Just treat it that way. I think if I, treat it any different, then they're going to notice it's different. They're going to think that they got to play at a different level. But pretty much got them last night. When I announced it at 4:00, just about when it got announced with, with the network and with game day, they didn't turn around and look at each other and high five each other. It was kind of like, who cares? Let's go. It's a one game season in November. I mean, you're playing for more significant things. For the crowd, it's great. For the city of Pittsburgh, it's great. For the University of Pittsburgh, it's awesome. For Pitt, but it's not going to do much for us when we get on that field. You better know what you're doing. You better recognize formations. You better identify the front and the coverage and who's blitzing, and you better do a great job communicating and making plays. And that's what it comes down to.
There's no question about it. And I love what you just said there about playoff football in November. I mean, literally, it's a one-game season here on out for you guys, and what a privilege to be in that situation and to kind of have that. How, I guess, do you express that to them too? Like, do you kind of live in the moment a bit and say, "Hey guys, what we're doing is special. Let's capture it. Let's get after it." What's kind of your temperament on that as well?
It's just one game. I'm not worried about the whole month of November. Just worried about that one game as a team. And I think that's, the best way to go about it. I mean, we can't think about like the month of November because you know what? You can't play 3 games in one weekend. We only get one opponent Saturday at noon. And that's the only thing we have to worry about. And it's not the season either way because it's not an ACC game. But, obviously we want to go out and win every football game that we start and go out and compete and do the best we can as a team.
Yeah, we'll dive into Notre Dame briefly. It is nice that you get a week before to prepare for them a little bit, and knowing that it's only Monday. But I know the way you work, the way you watch film. I'm sure you can tell me everything about them if you wanted to. But let's focus on your team here because there was a bit of a change that was made that was pretty drastic in regards to output and production that we've seen, from your team, and that's putting in Mason Heinschel at the quarterback position. I know that it is very delicate, and it isn't just a position where a guy's playing bad, put somebody else in. If your left guard messes up, gets a couple penalties, put another one in. He'll be fine. We'll get him back, later. There's some decision making to be held at the QB position there. So could you take me back to that moment and why were you comfortable enough? What did Heinschel show you to ultimately get the nod?
Yeah.
Obviously, it worked. You look like a genius making that move.
Yeah, but everybody knows I'm not a genius. That's for sure. Just ask anybody out there. That's a hard decision to make here because I mean, that's a do or die. If you make that move and it fails, now you got two quarterbacks that aren't playing very good, right? I mean, so that was one that you had to measure it out, eye it up. We were getting quarterbacks reps all through fall camp anyway, so Cade's kind of philosophy is to work three quarterbacks all the time, which we did last year too. So we're getting quarterbacks reps, and we just felt like after that West Virginia, we went down there and we didn't play great. No, offensively, we had the ball for about 20 minutes. We didn't move the sticks. We didn't sustain possessions and put our defense on the field for a long time. And then we did the same thing at Louisville. It was just like it's just no different, that offensive guard or that defensive end that can't make the sack or the DB can't make a play on the ball. It's no different. It's the same position. It's just a much more critical and just a position where it's like those little things can hurt a guy mentally. And but it was not an easy decision for sure. And
Yeah.
don't like making it, didn't like making it, tried to prevent it, but ended up being a good decision in the end, and it served our team well.
It certainly has worked out. And listen, this guy's a true freshman, and that's hard. I've heard many, quarterback guys or quarterback coaches say you can break one before you make one. And so when you put a guy that in that early, it can be detrimental mentally or physically. They're just not ready. But Mason was, and he thrived, and he's looked really good to this point. I'm sure he continually will do that throughout the year. What was, I guess, an indicator that he was ready, or was it kind of we got to do something here to get this season going?
Yeah, I mean, we saw it all along. I mean, the guy was a playmaker. He's working with the threes in fall camp. So it was like, shoot, even when he got into, Acrisure Stadium for a scrimmage, we had two scrimmages over there. It wasn't like he played great, but he wasn't surrounded with the one receivers and the one running back and the one O-line. So it's hard to even evaluate. So there's, risk there. But, we saw him in bowl practice, as a scout team quarterback last year. And we were kind of like, this guy's pretty good. And he didn't have all bowl practice, just maybe a week of bowl practice that he was allowed to be there. But we saw him there. We saw him at spring ball. And then, he's just a guy that's got a special arm. He does have an arm. And he's got some leadership skills to him. So he just, sometimes it clicks, sometimes it doesn't. And for him, it clicked, and we're happy to click. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. We are too. And it's been fun to watch. And I know those receivers, everybody involved, just this team, just does look different. And that's part of it. Quarterback's the most important spot on the team, the hardest to do. And, when you have a guy that can do it, it can change everything there. You guys have also faced some adversity just with injuries all across the board. I don't think people truly realize that. If you just kind of look at the first snapshot to where you are now,
Yeah.
what does that say about your staff and maybe even more in particular, these players that you've dealt with that and that you've been winning the way that you have been?
Yeah, it really talks about the attitude of our football team. They don't care who's going to be out there. They expect that next guy to come in. I think, mainly, obviously the, two injuries on offense, left guard, left tackle being out for the year. That was a big one. But then when you look at the defensive side of the ball, whether it's the safeties and, the linebackers, have been decimated. I mean, we didn't have Biles and Rasheem Biles and Kyle Lewis for a couple weeks. I mean, we still don't have Biles back yet, right? So, I mean, all those things are just like tough things to swallow. But our kids bowed up, and we beat a really good North Carolina State team that the next week goes out and beats, an undefeated Georgia Tech. We did it with a walk-on middle linebacker. Majority of the snaps we had a safety playing outside linebacker where Kyle Lewis does, and he's 178 pounds. So they started throwing bubbles out there versus skinny guy. It's like you out there blocking 170-pound safety. You got these 270-pound tight ends blocking us out there. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a rough day here. But our guys, we adjust. We have a system, and our guys built into the system. We had to move our starting middle linebacker to outside linebacker just to put, Ibrahim, our starting Mike. Nobody even knows who he is. So we've done a lot of different things like that. And it's a tribute to our kids, and our coaches.
Yeah. How does that, I guess, kind of, go on a Sunday when you're game prepping and you're like, boys, we got to get creative here. Like we're going to have to put this guy here, this guy there. And then even for the players to know what the heck to do, at the different positions. What are those conversations like?
Those are some deep conversations. We spent a lot of time just training who we're going to put on the field. And then we got to third down. I mean, base defense, then all of a sudden third down became even more crazy. It's the first time we've ever gone out with, 4 D linemen on the field, 2 linebackers, and 5 DBs. I mean, we got third down. We got all these defensive linemen on the field, which we've never done.
Oh, weird. I didn't understand it when I saw it. I didn't know what was going on.
I mean, understand this. It's a difference between just, there's the peoples, the X and O's on the field, and then there's everybody's got a different job. It's not like we changed the defense. It's the same defense,
Right.
but guys in different positions. And that's what it came down to. And just understanding not just what you do, but the whole concept is what allows us to be able to do something like that.
There's no doubt about it. Going back to the offense for a second, just because I do, want to touch on Desmond Reed. When he's been available, he has been exceptional. I mean, just such a weapon. You move him all over the place. I mean, I refer back to that Florida State game. He was the ACC receiver of the week. I mean, this guy's just
He's a
so
running back,
good. Right, and can do so many things for you. What is that like to have a weapon, like that on the offensive side of the ball?
It's nice to have that weapon, but it's nicer to have maybe an average weapon that you can count on every week. So it's day to day with Des. He is a tough dude. He's athletic. He can make all the plays, whether it's a receiver play or a running back play. We just got to get him healthy to the point where he can help us. And you can feel confident that he's going to be out there.
No doubt about it. Looking at this game again, I mentioned, coming off a bye week, you had a little bit of extra time to look at these guys playing very well. I think a lot of people are excited about Notre Dame from a national perspective, clearly where they are ranked right now. Got a couple of running backs that are extremely good. Freshman young quarterback that, is playing at a very high level offensively from them. What have you seen that stands out maybe from others?
Boy, they're elite everywhere. I'm telling you. I mean, it's the All-American team for sure. Obviously, they recruit with the best. We don't. First of all, we don't go up against Notre Dame in recruiting. Okay, no, that's not. It's not our recruiting. Targets. But it starts with a quarterback. But those 2 tailbacks back there, Price and Love. I mean, those are 2 special dudes. And then out receiver. Zero Malachi Fields, an old ACC guy that you probably remember covered at Virginia, transfers there. He's 6'4". He looks like a tight end. He runs like he runs like Love. I mean, he's special. I mean, they got players everywhere. Regarding that tight end, I mean, they're elite at every position.
Yeah. It is the focus, Coach, when you have, such a balanced attack, and maybe it's a easier answer because they are so special at the running back position. But for you in general, when you're playing a team that's balanced, is the first goal to take away the run? I mean, is that kind of your primary initiative when somebody can do both?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. We got to take away the run and the RPO because they will RPO. So, they'll RPO. They haven't done a ton of it this year, but I expect to see it against us. Yeah, they did it back in 23. They've done it against us because of the way, we do stack the box. So, so we're going to try to stop the run if we can, and then work it from there and see if we can get them in a second down and long.
I know that can be advantageous. Last one for you, Coach. More of a bigger ACC question. I mean, it just seems like as soon as someone gets into first place, they don't want it. They want to give it away. And you could look at it a couple of different ways. I think it shows the depth of this league and the amount of great coaching that we have, the amount of great players. The fact that we have 5 people tied right now for first place, yourself included, what does that say about the quality of the ACC?
Yeah, I mean, you look at some other conferences, they aren't so strong. I mean, we can say nobody wants it, but I think everybody wanted it. I mean, I don't think Tony Elliott wanted his, quarterback to go down in the first quarter. I think everybody was watching that. I mean, it's things that happen that you can't control as a coach or a team. But to me, it tells you the depth. I mean, you look at, like I said earlier, North Carolina State, what we did to them here at home, and then all of a sudden what they did to Georgia Tech. I mean, it's a 12-game grind in the ACC. It is a grind every week. There's great teams everywhere. And, when you see some of these other undefeated teams, like, who are they playing? Why are they so undefeated? Like, I don't know. I mean, those are things you guys, you gurus could figure out.
Gurus. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. Have you seen the meme? I know you're not on social media a ton, but maybe someone has sent this to you. When Virginia lost, somebody tweeted the doors open, and it was a Pitt fan, and it was you in the ACC championship back in 21 coming right through it out of the locker room. Have you seen that by chance?
No, I haven't seen that. I have not been on Twitter or social media since June. When
Well, there you go. I'll send it to you. It's pretty
maybe July,
badass.
maybe
It's a
mid-July.
good-looking video of you
Yeah,
kicking through the door, and here comes Pitt right
yeah.
to Charlotte,
Hey,
presume.
well, all we're worried about is Notre Dame. We ain't worried about that ACC championship or anything else. Just worried about Notre Dame,
That's
and
right. That's
and
right. Well, Coach, I cannot wait to
fun to
see you
see.
guys. Can't wait to see it in person. Grateful for your time, brother. Great to see you.
You got it. You need a yell. Hail to Pitt.
Rhoback just dropped their licensed game day collection. Polos, hoodies, Q-zips, custom designed for your school. On game days, we wear Rhoback, period.
Thanks again to Pat Narduzzi for joining us here on the show. I was bummed to miss that interview, but once my littlest one is back in school, I'll be able to do some of those more interviews with Mac. But Mac is handling it and doing an amazing job. Mac, let's get into this game. Notre Dame and Pitt. It's, as you said, we're recording this Tuesday morning, so the official new playoff rankings are not out yet. Right now, it's a top 25 matchup, number 10 Notre Dame, number 24 Pitt. We feel like Pitt's probably going to move up and Notre Dame is probably going to move up with some of the other losses and things that have happened. Noon on ABC, big time matchup, big time slot. Notre Dame, an 11.5-point favorite to start off. And actually, that's where it started and that's where it stayed. The total is at 56.5. Very interesting. On ESPN, the matchup predictor gives Notre Dame a 77% chance to win the game. The game is at Pitt. Obviously, if it's at Notre Dame, it would feel a bit different. But let's just start here because we had the Narduzzi on, and either he said that he said his other comments maybe before he talked to you, Mac.
Yeah, he did.
He said some things publicly about kind of how he's downplaying this matchup, which I thought was interesting considering it's a huge game for so many reasons, and considering your dark view that the ACC champion is not necessarily just going to get a free ride into the playoff if, things go dark, as you said, Mac.
Yeah, it's certainly an important game. What are let's start with you, because I think I'm on a different level. So he basically says, like, I don't care if we lose by 100 in this game. As there was a stipulation, as long as we win the next two, which means he probably, even though I think it's not guaranteed, they need a little help, would be in the ACC championship. So what were your thoughts when you heard that?
My thought when I heard that was your dark scenario. It's not just you win the ACC and you get a free ticket in. This is not the NCAA basketball tournament. Now, is it very likely if you win the ACC that you get in? Yes, it is. And I think Mac's dark scenario is unlikely, but other people are starting to pick it up, Mac. Other people are starting to get as dark as you talking about this scenario. So now, do you need to beat Pitt to make the playoff beat Pitt. Do you need to beat Notre Dame if you're Pitt to make the playoff? If you win the ACC? Probably not. But I still think it's a huge game for so many reasons. You obviously want to look good. You can't get blown out, lose by 100. That's not going to help considering the lack of respect the playoff committee has given this league. I also just thought, I feel like Pitt should be thinking playoff, not just winning the ACC. That's kind of my thought. And maybe Narduzzi meant something else by it. Maybe he's just trying to take some attention away from something. I don't know. I mean, these coaches have all sorts of reasons why they say these things.
Yeah.
But I was just a little surprised by it.
Yeah. I think the stipulation is that he would trade losing by 100 to be an ACC champion, to win that and to presumably be in the college football playoff.
Sure.
I think that's what he's saying, because if you beat Notre Dame and you lose the next two, who cares? None of it matters.
That is fair. That is very fair.
That's for me. Now, it did not come off that way, and certainly everyone else in the world is not manipulating it to come off that way. but that's what I think he meant.
Yeah.
Obviously, this guy is one of the best, ball coaches around. And you look at his success, you look at his wins, you look at, guys that they have put in the NFL. He wants to win. He's competitive. And so I think you're right. I think there was, kind of a bit of trying to pull this game down a little, trying to
Mhm.
not whatever, but it didn't come out the right way. But I understand what he's saying. And, he's probably right. He's probably right. So at the end of the day, I do not think he wants to lose by 100. I think he wants to win by 100, and that's gonna be a tall task because this is obviously a very good Notre Dame team.
That's a great way to put it, Mac. I think what he was really trying to communicate was if we beat Notre Dame, but then lose the next two, none of this matters. Or even just lose
One of them.
one of the
Yeah,
next two,
yeah.
because then you're probably not in the ACC title. So I get that. But I think this game is massive, maybe for reasons outside of Pitt, like for the ACC, right? Because the ACC can't seem to ever beat Notre Dame. For the ACC's perception, all these different types of things. So when you look at this game, Mac, I do love, now you tell me if I'm wrong on this from a player's perspective, but Pitt's coming off a bye. Notre Dame is not. Now, Notre Dame maybe kind of had a bye because they played Navy, but I do think that really helps Pitt to get healthy. Desmond Reed, the Desmond Reed factor of it all, is he going to be able to play? Because he's going to be a massive difference maker for them. And then just Heinzel and this offense having 2 weeks to prepare. I think that's a really big benefit for Pitt.
No, I completely agree with you. And, just them getting healthy. It was kind of funny, Coach DUZZ, listen, these coaches, they want every advantage they can, right? And so he was kind of saying, well, we might be healthy, we might not. He's not
Right,
telling us
right.
anything, right? He's not letting me know who's playing or who's going to be available. But I do just kind of, as a former player and a guy that does this, and you as a former player as well, a week off is helpful, and hopefully you have some guys back, and maybe you even rested some guys leading into it with the anticipation of this game. So I don't know that. We'll see. We'll find out. Maybe what the injury reports look like later in the week and things of that nature. But it was funny kind of hearing that. I do think that's a pretty good advantage as well, and I hope that Pitt is as healthy and as fully loaded as they can be, right? Because that's what you want. I mean, November hits, we got to go. Everybody's a little banged up, but we need our best guns out there and ready to play and fly around, specifically on the defensive side. Like, it was interesting, his conversation and hearing about, they got 3-4 guys out and they're just pulling, hey, walk on, you're starting middle linebacker now, let's go. And explaining that and teaching him, hey, safety, we're going to bring you down to play will linebacker, a whole new position, trying to figure it out. So, the thing that I've been really impressed with, and maybe mostly impressed, I know the quarterback is obviously the hottest topic and everybody wants to talk about
Mhm.
that, but these guys have had to play a lot of people. And within all that, that to me is really impressive. Other guys stepping up. And I love Coach's mindset of every guy just kind of expects the next man to step in and do their job when given the opportunity. That's a powerful thing. So I agree with everything you said there, the extra preparation, the extra time to get healthy, and just to have 2 weeks to prepare and study for this team. So when you get out there, you see the formations, you see the alignment, specifically talking about the Pitt defense, you can react a little bit differently and be able to go.
Yeah, for sure. And the Pitt defense has been really good all year. They've been great against the run, which is huge when you look
Huge.
at these running backs that Notre Dame has. And of course, that's the biggest key in stopping Notre Dame, is being able to slow down their rushing attack. So I look at, can you slow down the run from Notre Dame? And then the other big factor here, Mac, as much as I love Mason Heinzel, he's been fantastic. CJ Carr has also been really good. 2 freshman quarterbacks here, even though I believe CJ Carr's a redshirt and Heinzel's a true freshman. But and Pitt, I hate to get just a little negative. When you think back to the fourth quarter against Stanford and a few of those crazy picks that Heinzel's threw, now he's a little bit of a gunslinger, right, Mac? He has 5 picks on the year, nothing crazy, but there were 2 that really stood out against Stanford. Like that, you can't, if you lose that turnover battle in this
Yeah.
game, the way Notre Dame can control the clock feels like it's a wrap. I feel like that's got to be the most important thing. But it's a balance, Mac, because you want Heinzel to get out there and make plays, but turnovers against a team like Notre Dame
Mhm.
versus against Stanford, big difference.
Yeah, and maybe that's hard because he is a young kid and, he's figuring this out and he's like, "I'm
Literally.
Stanford, I can do whatever I want, just sling this ball downfield." I hope and think that it will be overemphasized, "Hey, buddy, this is different.
Yeah.
You cannot make those throws. You can't test that. Now you still want him to be who he is, and there's a little bit of amnesia that has to come in from the quarterback position where you're just, hey, bad play, got to go to the next one. Can't think about it because this Notre Dame defense has gotten a lot better. I mean, it looked pretty suspect the first handful of games in the season. That they've improved and are looking really good now.
Mhm.
So how do you attack it? How can you stay disciplined? And this guy's coming off of a 420-yard game and a 300-yard game. Like, he can sling the rock all day long, but you have to think that, Notre Dame is going to try to prevent that. They're going to try to limit that. They're going to try to confuse you and do different things. The biggest key for me, honestly, KG, and the Narduzzi would love this, is truly the Pitt defense. I mean, I think that's where you win the game. That's where, if you're able to limit the run, I don't think you can stop it. I think you can limit it, though, because that attack is so good, but you're really good at what you do as well, especially if you have your All-American linebackers back. Then it gets interesting. If you put the ball in a redshirt freshman's hands and say, go beat us, let's see, can you make these competitive throws? Pittsburgh does a great job of playing quarters and playing man, and those can kind of look like each other, but have very distinct differences in the coverage that can be confusing and can maybe trick a quarterback here or there into making the wrong throw. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. How do they take advantage of that? And at the end of the day, too, we know this well. Pittsburgh's base defense is blitz. Like, they're sending guys. They will pressure you. They will hit you. And so, how are they able to do that, against this team in Notre Dame that is ascending in a lot of people's eyes? But I think there's a little bit of an asterisk with that too, KG, with this Notre Dame team, which they're good, and they always are. They're coming off a national championship game. They have great players, things of that nature. But when I look at the schedule and you kind of dive in, there's some doubt that can rise up. I mean, let's just go through the wins here kind of in order. Purdue, bottom feeder in the Big Ten. Arkansas, literally dead last in the SEC there. A G5 team in Boise State, okay, is what it is. NC State, middle back of the pack for the ACC. USC, who's ranked. That's good. That's a good win that they got there. Struggled at Boston College, could not run the ball super effectively outside of, it happened, a 94-yard run. They could not run the ball against a BC team that gives up runs left and right to everybody else in the world. And then a Navy team that, again, G5, it is what it is with Navy there. They lost to the two best teams that they played. So this is a little bit of a different opponent here that's walking into your house, in Pittsburgh, or excuse me, you're walking into their house. So I think the points are pretty big. I think the predictor being 70+% is a little interesting. And I'm taking Pittsburgh with the points. I mean, that's a ton. And I think they're going to have a plan that's really going to be exciting.
Especially coming off that bye. I love that for Pitt. I tend to lean that way too. I think Pitt's going to cover. We generally keep our picks for Friday, and if you want to keep a pick on the actual game, Mac, till Friday, we can. But yeah, I love that spread for Pittsburgh. And I hear what you're saying about Notre Dame's schedule. Everyone's coming at Notre Dame for that resume. They played A&M well. They played Miami well, but they didn't beat them. And actually, I take that back when I said earlier that the ACC never beats Notre Dame. Miami did. So there you go. And then when you look at Pitt's resume is so weird because they made the quarterback change. So it's, how much do you count what happened pre-Mason Heinschel?
Right.
The Louisville game, the West Virginia game, it's odd. It's odd to look at. And there's no right way because that's just the committee's job. They got to figure it out. But they're obviously a very different team with Mason Heinschel at quarterback.
Yeah, no, it is fascinating. And their, schedule, I don't think is anything to write home about either, except for the
until now
win over Florida State. I mean, that's a big deal.
But they're November. I mean, they're November with Notre Dame.
It will be. Yeah, it will be.
Tech and Miami. Yeah.
No question. No question. So we'll see. Anyway, this was a super fun episode. Awesome to talk to the Narduzzi. Really appreciate his time. Big Mike making that happen. Cannot wait to be up in Pittsburgh this weekend and just to see this game. It's on at noon. We literally do our show, go straight in the stadium, get a watch. I mean, it is high living. It's the only ACC game on. This is perfect. I don't have to watch anything else but these guys. So I'm super excited. Appreciate you guys for always tuning in. Jump in the comments. Pittsburgh fans, tell us what you think about this game. Are you with me? Like, I'm feeling really good about the Panthers. We will see, but cannot wait. Appreciate you guys. We got more coming on Friday. As KG said, we will go through the entire weekend, maybe make some picks. Who knows? Or maybe our minds change. Maybe they don't. I don't know.
And
We'll
prepare
see.
for chaos.
Exactly.
As always.
Strap in. Let's go. Appreciate you guys always. Until next time, we'll see y'all.